northern kingdom was living its last days of glory. Israel prospered on the outside, but on the inside it was rotten. The streets filled with false altars, the palaces with injustice, and the hearts of the people drifted away from the God who had delivered them from Egypt. Jeroboam, son of Joash, reigned, while in Judah ruled Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. These were turbulent times. Leaders weakened, prophets were ignored, and enemy nations prepared their attack. In the midst of that chaos, an ordinary man named Hosea heard the voice of God. It wasn't a confused thought or a passing dream. It was a direct, firm, and clear instruction.
Go, take for yourself a wife who is a prostitute, for the land is prostituting itself by turning away from me.
Those words struck his heart like thunder. It was not a command easy to understand, but Hosea knew that when God spoke, it was for a purpose greater than oneself. So he obeyed. He sought Gomer, daughter of Diblaim. She was a beautiful woman, but her name was already stained by her disorderly life. Even so, Hosea took her as his wife, not out of impulse, but out of obedience. In their union, God wanted to show a living message. Just as Gomer would be unfaithful to her husband, Israel had been unfaithful to its God. Hosea became a human parable. His marriage, his pain, and his faithfulness would be the mirror of a divine love that does not give up, even when the people betray him again and again. A short time after their wedding, Gomer became pregnant. Hosea, with his heart full of hope, waited for the birth of his first child. But as soon as the child came into the world, God spoke to him again.
Call him Jezreel, for soon I will punish the bloodshed in that valley, and I will break the power of the kingdom of Israel.
It was a name heavy like a prophecy, sharp like a sword, and bitter like wheat thrown to the wind. It was an announcement of dispersion, a warning that what the people had sown with violence, they would reap with pain. In that same valley where the kings of Jehu's dynasty had killed without mercy, God would break the bow of Israel, leaving its armies without strength. Months passed, and Gomer conceived again. This time, a daughter was born. The Lord spoke once more to Hosea.
Call her Lo-ruhamah, which means not pitied. For I will no longer have mercy on the house of Israel. I will not forgive them anymore.
Those words weighed heavily on the prophet's heart. His daughter would carry a name that would remind everyone of the loss of divine compassion. Yet God did not close the door completely.
But I will have mercy on Judah. I myself will save them, not with sword, nor with army, but with my power.
Sometime later, when Lo-ruhamah was weaned, Gomer gave birth to a third child.
Call him Lo-ammi, which means not my people. For you are not my people, and I will not be your God.
It was a painful sentence, as if heaven itself were signing a divorce from his people. Hosea understood that his home had become a living message. Each child, each name, was an open wound between God and Israel. But even there, in the midst of judgment, the divine voice once again promised hope.
One day, the children of Israel would be as numerous as the sand of the sea, impossible to count. Judah and Israel would reunite under a single leader, and that valley that once represented blood and punishment would become a place of gathering and restoration.
Hosea raised his children with tears and prayers. Their names hurt, but they reminded him of a truth no one wanted to hear. The love of God can hurt when it corrects, but it never stops seeking the return of his children. Years passed, and what Hosea had silently feared finally happened. Gomer, the woman who had promised to be faithful to him, began to drift away. She no longer looked at her husband with love, but with indifference. She left home, returned late, and little by little, her heart went after other men. She began seeking gifts, perfumes, fine dresses, and she sold herself for them. Every step she took away from Hosea was like a new wound in the prophet's soul. That domestic story became a living reflection of something much greater. Israel was doing the same with its God. It ran after idols, burned incense to Baal, and offered sacrifices on high hills, believing that those false gods would give them rain, harvests, and abundance. But it was all a lie. They worshipped what could neither speak nor hear, forgetting the God who had delivered them from slavery. Then the voice of the Lord came to Hosea again.
Rebuke your mother, for she is not my wife, nor am I her husband.
God was speaking of Israel as an unfaithful wife, painted to seduce, dressed to attract her lovers, chasing after what could never satisfy her. Those lovers were idols, alliances with other nations, trust placed in what was created instead of the Creator, and God announced judgment.
I will strip her of everything. I will leave her like a dry desert. I will place thorns in her path so she cannot find whom to follow. I will take away her wine, her feasts, her harvests, and I will expose her shame before those around her.
Every word sounded like a divine tear. It was not the voice of a vengeful God, but of a betrayed husband. Because after anger came tenderness.
I will draw her back. I will take her into the wilderness and speak to her heart.
In that place of silence, far from the noise of idols, God would restore her hope. He promised to transform the valley of Achor, an ancient symbol of punishment, into a doorway of hope. He would give her new vineyards, new songs, and a renewed love. The chaos would cease. The wild animals of the field and the wars would stop. People who had once been called not pitied and not my people would now be known as beloved and people of God. Hosea then understood that his story was not only his own. In his broken home, he saw the mirror of divine love. A love that suffers, that disciplines, but that never stops waiting for the return. A love that does not give up, even when the human heart has forgotten it. God did not allow Hosea to end with a broken heart. When everything seemed over, the Lord spoke to him again.
Love your wife again, even though she is loved by another and is an adulteress, just as I love the children of Israel, even though they are unfaithful to me and run after other gods.
They were words that hurt, but also healed. With his heart in his hand, he went out to look for Gomer. He found her in the slave market, dirty, tired, and with no light in her eyes. Perhaps she had been sold by her lovers, or perhaps because of her own debts. No one looked at her with compassion. They only saw a life worn out. And there, amid the noise of merchants and the shouts of buyers, Hosea looked at her with love, not with pity, but with the same love that once chose her. He asked for the price.
What is the value of a woman?
15 cycles of silver and 1.5 homers of barley.
It was a low price, the value of a pack animal. But Hosea paid without hesitation. With every coin he handed over, he was showing more than compassion. He was displaying the redeeming love of God. When he bought her, he approached her.
You will live with me for many days. You will not prostitute yourself or be with another man, and I will also be faithful to you.
Gomer did not answer with words. She only lowered her gaze. Her silence was enough. She understood she did not deserve that forgiveness, but she received it anyway. From that moment on, they began again. No chase, no deceit, no running away. God was speaking to the people through this story. Just as Hosea redeemed his unfaithful wife, the Lord would redeem Israel even if the price was high. Israel would live many days without a king, without temples, without sacrifices or idols, like a people in exile, separated and stripped. But that time of waiting would not be the end. A day would come when they would once again seek the Lord, trembling not with fear but with joy, for everything he would give them again. They would seek their God and their king, like David, and they would experience his goodness in the latter days. That scene was engraved forever. Hosea, with trembling hands, paying the ransom for the woman who betrayed him, and embracing her with the same love with which God embraces those who return. Because divine forgiveness is never cheap, but it is always available to the one who comes back with a repentant heart. When Hosea's home finally returned to peace, the Lord sent him once more to speak to the people. He was no longer just the prophet wounded by his wife's betrayal, but the messenger of a God who loved an unfaithful nation. With a firm voice, Hosea stood before Israel and proclaimed the message of heaven.
The Lord has a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of God among you. There are only false oaths, lies, murder, theft, and adultery. Bloodshed follows bloodshed.
Silence fell over the crowd. The prophet's words were like lightning splitting the sky. God was not only accusing the common people, but also the priests, those who were supposed to lead with purity.
My people were destroyed for lack of knowledge. You rejected my law, and I will reject your priesthood.
The leaders had become accomplices to sin. Instead of stopping it, they encouraged it. While the sacrifices burned on the altars, the hearts remained cold. The land itself began to wither. The fields dried up, the animals died, and the people ate without being satisfied, because their hunger was not physical, but spiritual. In their desperation, the people consulted divining rods and metal idols, seeking answers from mute objects. They had traded the living God for golden calves.
Do not let Judah fall into the same thing. Do not go to Gilgal or to Beth-aven, those places stained by idolatry.
But for many, it was already too late. From the hills, trumpets sounded. Enemy armies approached. Ephraim, the strongest tribe of Israel, had become a snare, dragging others into sin. Their pride made them stumble, and although they cried out for help, they could not find the Lord, for their hearts were bound to unfaithfulness. Then God spoke with the voice of judgment, comparing himself to a roaring lion.
I will tear them, but I will also heal them. I will raise them up on the third day, and they will live in my presence.
Like rain after drought, he promised to restore what his people had lost. But he made one truth clear, a truth that would echo through generations. I wanted mercy, not sacrifice. I wanted the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. Israel had broken the covenant since the days of Adam. Its rulers had become bands of murderers who lurked on the roads and stained the temple with violence. Judah, which until then had stayed apart, was also beginning to fall. Judgment was inevitable, but there was still hope. Hosea lifted his voice and cried,
Sow righteousness, and you will reap mercy. Seek the Lord while he can still be found.
And the echo of those words remained in the air, like a plea from God himself, an urgent call to a people who could still return before it was too late. Hosea raised his voice once more, but this time his tone was more solemn. The Lord showed him a dark future, and Hosea described it in words that chilled the soul.
Israel will not rejoice like the neighboring nations, because in its pride it forgot its God, and its sin will take it back to the place from which it was once delivered.
They would return to Egypt, not in triumph, but as slaves. They would be taken to Assyria, where they would eat impure bread, and where their sacrifices would no longer be accepted. The songs of the temple would fall silent, and the altars would be covered with dust. The kings they trusted so much would fall one after another. And Samaria, the proud capital, would be ravaged by the sword until it lay in ruins. God compared his people to a vine that once produced abundant fruit, but now used its harvest to make idols. He also likened them to a young heifer that loves easy work and flees from effort, but would soon feel the weight of the yoke on its neck. Then the Lord remembered with pain in his voice, everything he had done for them.
I brought you out of Egypt like a small child. I led you with cords of human kindness, with ties of tenderness. I removed the yoke of slavery and gave you food, but you rebelled. You sought refuge in Assyria, made alliances with Egypt, and trusted in men more than in me.
The prophet repeated what he saw coming. The sword would devour the cities, the walls would collapse, and God, weary of their idolatry, would be like a lurking lion, a bear that tears apart, a leopard waiting on the path. Ephraim, the most powerful tribe, had filled itself with lies and false treaties. They ran after the wind, chasing empty promises.
Their altars will burn, their palaces will turn to ash, and the guilt of the blood they have shed will overtake them like an east wind, a scorching wind that dries everything in its path.
Hosea looked upon that desolate horizon and understood that judgment was inevitable. The people had chosen to live without God, and now they would know the emptiness of doing so. But the story did not end in darkness. After so much judgment, so much pain and betrayal, Hosea's voice rose once more, not to condemn, but to invite them to return.
Israel, return to the Lord your God, for you have stumbled because of your iniquity.
It was not a cry of anger, but of love. God was still waiting, like a father who watches the road every day, hoping to see from afar the child who left. Hosea taught them how to return, not with rituals or sacrifices, but with sincere words.
Take words of confession and say, "Forgive us. Receive the fruit of our lips."
He reminded them that there would be no salvation in Egypt, nor in war horses. No political alliance, no idol, no human power could rescue them. Only God could. The same God who cares for orphans, who heals the deepest wounds, and who loves without conditions. And so, the message from heaven changed its tone.
I will heal their rebellion. I will love them with all my heart, and my anger will depart like a cloud that dissolves at dawn.
Then the prophet began to describe the restoration that would come. Israel will flourish again. It will be like the lily that sprouts among the stones, with roots firm like the cedars of Lebanon. Its shade will be like that of the olive tree, its fragrance like freshly fermented wine. The cities will once again be filled with life, and the fields will be clothed in green. Ephraim, the same one who had run after idols, will lift his voice in the end. And God will answer with tenderness.
I have heard you, and I will care for you. I am for you like an evergreen cypress. From me comes your fruit.
The prophet concluded his message with wisdom, looking at his people and also at the generations that would come.
The wise will understand these words. The prudent will know them, for the ways of the Lord are right.
The righteous will walk in them, but the rebellious will stumble.
The story of Hosea and Gomer comes to an end in silence. The Bible does not describe their deaths or recount the last years of their life together. It only says that Hosea found her, redeemed her, and brought her back home. After those words, Gomer disappears from the narrative. Her name is never mentioned again. The ancient writers understood that silence as a symbol. Her story with Hosea represented God's relationship with Israel, a love that corrects, forgives, and waits for repentance. According to the most widely accepted interpretations, Gomer was restored. The text indicates that she lived many days with Hosea, which suggests a long period of faithfulness and reconciliation. Though not perfect, there is no sign that she fell again, nor that Hosea cast her away. Nothing is said about how Hosea died either, but it is known that he continued prophesying through several reigns, until the days when Israel was conquered by Assyria. He lived to see much of what he warned fulfilled. The fall of his nation, the exile, and the urgent need to return to God. He died as he had lived, obeying. The end of both was neither tragic nor glorious, but spiritual. Gomer was redeemed and kept. Hosea was faithful until the last day. And together they left behind a story that does not end in them, but in what they represent. The love of God that pays the price for the one who betrays him, and the grace that offers a new beginning to the one who was lost.
Thank you for watching this video until the end. If you believe that God continues to love us even when we fail, comment, "God's love restores the impossible." Your comment helps this message reach more people. And if you value this kind of deep, truth-based content, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Your interaction is what keeps this space alive, and every click you make helps us continue sharing stories that heal, inspire, and awaken faith. See you in the next video. God bless you greatly. Amen.